So yeah, I just got done watching the third season of Stranger Things, which takes place a year after season 2. And in this continuation of the second season, Eleven, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, Max, and Will all find out that the Mind Flayer has returned and has also taken over the body of Max's brother Billy, and is also growing into the real world from the Upside Down, and is actually setting itself up to kill Eleven after she locked him outside the Upside Down. And of course, they have to destroy it, while also dealing with Russian agents who have secretly taken over the Starcourt Mall of Hawkins, as Joyce, Hopper, and Murray also try to investigate what the hell is going on. Now, if you guys never saw my review of the first season, let me just certainly tell you that, yeah, I loved it too. It was fantastic. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually thought the second season was just as good. And yeah, that means I didn't think the Lost Sister episode was as bad of an episode as some people may say it is. I mean, it's not great or anything, but I thought it was enjoyable. But yeah, I was excited for the third season, and yes, like everyone else probably, I was pissed off when I found out that it got delayed to 2019, when it was supposed to come out last year in 2018. But thankfully, for us demo fans, it has finally arrived. And if you ask me, I can say that while Season 3 is not really as good as the first two seasons, it was still a very good addition to the series overall, with some brilliant acting from the amazing cast, some really good writing, and some very top-notch special effects. Season 3 still offers a narrative that still keeps you into the story enough to want to continue on, and has some more great things to offer its viewers, like the continuing bromance between Dustin and Steve. In this new season, it just grows to be even more hilarious and charming. They have great banter together, and it makes for some really funny moments. It's sort of like a big brother and little brother friendship in some ways. I mean, this guy started off as a bit of a jerk in the first season, and now, in the second season, he's actually kind of a lovable oaf who gets along well with this 14-year-old kid who spent his time playing board games with his nerdy peers. It's definitely one of the highlights of the show so far. I especially love how they followed up with Jim Hopper after he was given Eleven's birth certificate, officially making him Eleven's father. And he plays the stereotype of an overprotective father who doesn't like the idea of her and Mike making out behind his back, while just not really able to accept the fact that his daughter is growing up really well. And David Harbour does a fantastic job once again, especially when after his possible implied death, you hear that great speech by him voicing over Eleven reading the note that he had for her. I mean, that scene, that really got me, man. I especially like how they brought the concept of growing up and forgetting about past childhoodness into the band of our main kids. Like Will, for the most part. He's pretty annoyed by the fact that Mike and Elle are always more focused on running off on their dating route, more than all of them hanging out together more. And you could tell that he's feeling like they've lost interest in hanging out with him. And it annoys him to a point where at his Castle Byers, that he not only rips up pictures of his best friend's memories, but he even destroys Castle Byers overall. It broke my heart. I mean, sure, it's probably comparable to how a kid would act if he doesn't get something he wants. But come on, he's upset because he feels like he's losing his best friends. And that's why I found that to be my third favorite heartbreak moment in this series. I also really enjoyed how they followed up Billy from the second season. I mean, in season 2, he was an unlikable jerk. I mean, we can all point out his negative qualities, but in this season, they actually had us feeling sorry for him in the end. Because, like, at the end of the final episode between him and Elle, when he was being controlled by the Mind Flayer, and Eleven tells him about his mother, who she saw in his memories, was a really powerful and deep scene for this guy, because it shows that he does have good within him. And it actually gets even more sad when he actually sacrifices himself and takes a shot from the tentacle of the Mind Flayer and lets it keep on killing him in front of his sister who hated him in the first season. And when it showed Max actually run up to him and actually had her grieve over his corpse was especially upsetting. And it actually had me feeling sorry for him. I loved how they redeemed Billy this season, and I wish he could have said something to Max before he let out that last gasp. It was really heartbreaking. Now, I do have other really great things to talk about, but because I don't really want the review to go on for too long, I'm just gonna go straight to my cons. And thankfully, I don't have too much to talk about. Like, for one thing, I find it odd how they never did bring up 8 from the Lost Sister episode in Season 2. I mean, yes, I'm aware that episode is considered the worst one by fans, but no matter how bad some people may say it is, they still should have at least brought it up. The only time they ever kind of brought it up in this season is when the line "bitchin" comes back once again. But that's pretty much it. They don't really bring up those characters ever again. Before this season came out, you'd assume that episode was kind of setting her up for the third season. But they never really do bring her up at all again. All because of bad fan reaction. But that should be no excuse to totally kind of ignore her. In fact, if they were to bring her back, I'm sure they could do something with her character that could have made her a much more acceptable character to the rest of the fans. Because if there is anything you should get perfect about making a show or movie, it's continuity. Granted, it doesn't create any plot holes, but it's odd how it makes that episode not only the most disliked, but also it just comes off as pointless now. If they make Season 4, I do hope they bring her up again. Not just because I'm one of the few that actually kind of like the episode, but because you should have a payoff as to why it was there. Otherwise, people are going to ask, what was the point of even having that episode? In the fourth season, they really should bring her up. Also, I just really wish they could have showed us how Max's parents reacted to finding out about Billy. But it doesn't really show us anything. I wish they had revealed it during the Hopper's afterlife speech. Most of all, how his dad reacted. I mean, from what we know about his dad was pretty abusive. So I wonder how he reacted when he found out his son actually died. But I guess we'll probably figure out in Season 4 if it happens, but we'll have to wait and see. But other than all of that, yeah, I thought Season 3 of Stranger Things was a welcome addition to the series. It had great moments of humor and heartbreak and horror, and while it may not be the best season out of the bunch, it was actually still the most entertaining. And I hope that if they make Season 4, I hope that they reveal whether or not the American that the Russians mentioned before feeding that Russian prisoner to the Demodog was Hopper, meaning that he could still be alive. Because who else could it be in that cell? We'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to give Season 3 of Stranger Things a 7 out of 10. And if any of you dare ask me to sing the verse from the Neverending Story, I will freaking kill you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you next time, and peace out.